All right, folks. I'm having more tough. Well, it never ceases to amaze me the technical difficulties that rise. I just got down. Excuse me. It's late at night here, and I'm tired. I just got done updating the OBS system I have here, and I can't see the chat. It's like, thank you very much. It's like, well, I can't see anything, so this thing is. So I can't. I'm gonna have to not do this because I can't see what anybody's doing here. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Great. Hey, Sally. It just now came on. I updated this before I started, and things weren't working right, and I didn't know that until actually I started streaming. So I'm glad everything seems to be going well. So how are you doing there, sir? How you doing this? For you, would be afternoon, right? I think it's like 5 o'clock there or something like that. 5 p.m. Um, so can you hear me fine? The audio here is not so good on my end, meaning um, the place that I'm in, where I live, the electricity fluctuates, and so when I set the levels, they're not the same every day. They change. So I just want to make sure that I'm being heard. 3 p.m. Okay, so all right. Oh, okay. My apologies. It's online. I have no idea. Usually people use names that's not even their names, and it's really hard to identify what's going on. Everybody has to tell me what's going on because I just don't know. That's the truth. Oh, okay. Sally is a different form of Sally. Well, that's new. I can see where the similarity would be. That's great. Thank you. Claire, you clarified things for me there. I really appreciate that. My apologies for, it's hard not to assume certain things here online. So thank you. Thank you so much. Can I call you Sally? I was looking for my cat. He just walked by. There he is. He just walked by me. He's been wanting to hang out with me the last couple days here, and he just doesn't want to go outside. Wants to stay inside with me. So there, I've been going through some issues here with my mouth, and I have a dentist appointment tomorrow, and so it's been a tough few days, and so maybe that's the reason why he's here. I've been having vertigo and thinking that I have infection and all this stuff. It's kind of odd. As the body gets older, so does things don't work the same, and the way that I experienced things earlier in my life with this body is not the same as it is now. In other words, the same symptoms occur differently, and it's hard for me to detect things sometimes. I know that's very vague and not clear with what I'm saying, but it's a bit confusing on my end. So he's just hanging out with me. He's like watching out for me, I guess. So yeah, I love all life, and it's nice to have companionship, you know, on a personal level. And his name's Dorian. At least that's what I called him because he was gray. He's a blue Russian, I guess is what the breed that he is. And he just showed up like 4.5, almost 5 years ago. He just showed up and never left. Kind of cool, huh? Everything is appointed in a lot of cases that sometimes we're not aware of it. I'm aware of it, but I kind of just let it play itself out. Yeah, I got a lot of missing teeth and I had a lot of mercury in my mouth, from childhood, and it's caused a lot of major health problems. Wow, that's a long time for a cat. It was an indoor cat. I'm taking it. Um, Dorian mostly has been an outdoor cat, but I've been, taking care of him and treating him well. So, and not only there's other people in the neighborhood. He knows how to, he knows how to coax them into giving him food. It's not that he's needing any food because he gets plenty of food. Um, Friends of mine, specifically Deborah, sends cat food to me um, regularly. So, but he likes going different places and eating different things. And she had sent me some cans of tuna, like a case of tuna. So I've been feeding him. Also, I have another cat. She's I call her Gilly, like Gilly, because it rhymes with silly because she's such a silly cat. She's been out on the street for a long time and she doesn't like cats. She doesn't like too many things really, and it's taken about a year for her to, um, you know, kind of snuggle up to me, if you know what I mean. She trusts me now. It's just taken quite a long time for her to do that. So she comes in from time to time, but she likes her space. So she's outside right now. She spends a lot of time in the backyard. But he's laying at my feet right now. Aren't you, little bub? Yeah. Yeah. Give him a scratching on the heads. Oh, it's pronounced that way. I'm sorry. It takes forever for me to get back to reading. Plus, I got something in my way right here. You can't see it, but I got things that's blocking my screen, so I have to kind of look up above and see what's what's being said. So that's the reason why I'll do this when I'm reading. Okay, great. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you straightening me out on that one. So that makes it easier for me to, you know, make the connection too, as far as the name and everything. 25 years long. Typical blue Russian. They are bad boys. Well, this one, he's not. He tries to be confrontational with other cats, and he knows how, he knows how to defend himself and fight. And he's a little bit territorial, but he doesn't push it. He's like he'll try, and it's like if nothing happens, he just walks away from it. He gets bored pretty quick. He'd rather just hang out, That's really, and when I go outside, when I might go outside to do things and stuff, and I'll sit out there too. He loves hanging out with me, He just follows me around. But if I leave, he goes does something else. But if I'm outside and I can't see him anywhere, he'll show up because he's looking out for me. So he's my buddy. Yeah, that's a long time for cats to live. Typically, street cats. My experience has been with street cats has been 2 years. That's their typical lifespan. And I mean, just because. And there was a street cat that passed away not too long ago, and I think he lived up to 17 years on the street. He was like really smart though too for the longest time. He never got into anybody's or the other cat's business. He just watched things from a distance. He was only two things that he was interested in: eating food and sleeping. And so he just found, you know, the avenues for that through people. You know, he was always here for the longest time. He would come to my door, and then one day he didn't show up at my door, and I knew it. I knew that he was. I mean, because he was old, and that's a long time for a cat to be on the street and not come. So he was a very tenacious cat too. Nothing discouraged him. If he wanted something, or if he knew that you had food or whatever, he would always walk in between my legs when I was walking. He was always getting in my way, almost tripping me up, almost causing me to fall. Matter of fact, he caused me to fall once. He was just very tenacious and, you know, actually kind of annoying at times, but I respected his tenacious behavior. He wouldn't take no for an answer. And, I said, well, I like that. I like that. That's the reason why he lasted so long. So, well, I, I would, I like to be able to continue to do this on Monday nights. Um, it's kind of late here for me, and I get kind of tired here at the end of the day at this time. But I'm trying to do whatever I can do while I'm still here. And I can't push myself too much. I can't do that anymore, anyhow. But you know, I like to be able to do what I can, and um, you know, it would really be nice if I can do what I want. What I want to do is just take my music and just go off and play. That's really what I want to do for the rest of my life. That's really kind of what I want to do. I just want to do that because my music has it's um it's my diary of my soul, and there's a lot of substance in the lyric, and most of what I've written and I haven't recorded it, and I don't really care too much for the idea of doing videos and all that stuff. I don't really want to do that anymore. I try to work myself up to do it, and it's not there anymore. What I used to do was involved with community, with people in real time, and I really miss that. For me, that was very, very important. I haven't had that for a very long time. Oh, no worries, Sally. Um, oh, Francis stepped in. Hey, Francis. Yes, good day to you. It's it's evening for me. My cat is talking to me. What do you want, buddy? He wants my attention. Okay, all right. he's he's attacking my foot now. Easy on the claws there, buddy. I have bare feet. Yeah, he's a good boy. He's the sweetest cat in the world. Yes, the most handsome. Yes, you are. Ow. He's getting me. What are you doing, Bubba? I got him. He has a lot of nicknames I give him. What you doing, buddy? Bub Bub? Bub Bub is one of them. He's a sweet cat. Good day. Cool. Well, I had nothing planned. Well, actually, I tried to plan something here. I'm not really good at plans anymore. But just it feels a lot better just to go ahead and just come on and let the whole situation kind of shift its own self and move in the direction that it needs to go or not. Doesn't have to go anywhere really, but you know what I mean. Uh, but I got a lot of things I could turn to. But is there anything that anybody wants to discuss or talk about, or anything you just want to share? I think mainly that's what these lives are good for, is people to be able to have a brief moment of being able to share in real time, you know, as it's called. Anything will do. Oh, Dorian. Oh, Bob. You know what they like, what he likes? Um, and I learned this not too long ago. It there's a lot of reminiscent affection that they have from from early offspring experiences, when they're kittens. And taking a toothbrush that you don't want to use anymore and kind of dampen it, kind of wet it a little bit, and use it to comb over their face, their ears and stuff like that. And it reminds them of their mother's tongue when they were younger. And he really liked that. He really liked that a lot. Yeah, you, everything changed on his face and everything when I was doing that. And it seems to work for all cats. So something you might want to take in take in mind and try doing it. I don't have a mathematical brain, but I know it's true. Let me see. Did I miss something? Oh, as far as, um, well, a lot of things are intuitive. Um, your feelings are very important when you're able to connect with that aspect of yourself. Meaning, I don't want to complicate this because it's not complicated, but things that you've always connected with within you, that's just part of you, you know? You don't have to have approval for it. There's no need to get permission for it. It's just this sense of awareness and knowing within you. It's instilled within you. And I think relying on that is probably more important than having a large knowledge base of something. I look at knowledge and the idea of knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge applied, and I've been under the conviction for a long time. I rather know a few things than learn about many things but don't really know them. So, what you instinctively know within you, always go with that first. You can always build from that. So it's not something less, right? It's not something less. It's equally important, in some cases, more important. So, yeah, working through affection, love, compassion, caring. I think these are natural traits when the individual removes the walls that may be built up in one's life because of whatever. Those things come natural. In certain situations, you can see the hardest person. You know, if with the hardest person, or most calloused person, in certain situations, if you bring in certain things that they relate to affectionately, it all of a sudden their countenance changes. So it's all within us. It's just a matter of just allowing it to be there. And it's especially for men, it can be quite difficult because that can be seen as signs of weakness, and especially if they're dealing with somebody or a group of people or what their sphere of influence in the world that's around them, where they're you know connected with. You just kind of have to build these walls. So, but yeah, working through your affections and caring on just genuinely for yourself, whatever that is, how much of that is, right, is very important. You know, you don't need approval for being yourself. That's one of the big things. That's one of the hurdles to remove out of the way so that you can actually get into that space and be that way wherever you go. You know, it's a funny world. It is what it is. It's part of what the challenge of being here, and which is fine. We intended that. You know, but while having boots on the ground here, it can be rather difficult, and it has been. It's been extremely difficult in many instances. Had to overcome a lot to be able to get to a certain place, especially where I'm at now. Yeah. Well, discernment is essential. Um, I think when we don't carry burdens, that discernment becomes easy because we're working through live and let live. love and do as you will, you know. And what somebody else does, as long as it doesn't affect me directly in a way that's harmful, what they do is none of my business, because I can't allow myself to attach to something that I don't belong to, because that's detrimental. I learned that long time ago. So I always encourage, just live and let live, love and do as you will. And you don't have to concern yourself with too much when you're walking in that space. I've had I have had individuals contact me, and you know that were concerned about a lot of things, earthquakes here and the sky's falling. And I understood the concern, and I totally accepted their, you know, the way that they felt about that, to say the things that they would say to me or send things to me. But I never really experienced any of the things that they sent to me that was supposedly happening here in California. It's just because the space I'm in. If it happens, it happens. I don't really care. This isn't my home anyhow. I'm just here. I'm a stranger in a strange land, and I just look for the things that I want to express, that's, as close as to my genuine nature as possible. And I'm not responsible for what other people do, you know. I will help people. I'll take my shirt off my back, give it to them if they need it, you know. But, you got to be in your own space, you know. What do you want, buddy? What you want? He's crying out for my affections. He's such a spoiled cat. He's a lover. Ow! Now he's attacking my foot. Hey, Mark. How you doing, bud? Sorry. I have a tendency to kind of just look into the camera, and it's just habit. And I don't really look at the chat until some minutes or a thought is that I have is finished, and then I'll take a look. I probably should get in a habit of going back and forward, but you know. Well, I think it's important for things to be simple. Um, I know, I'm not patting myself on the back or anything, but I can look at things that are quite complicated and make them simple, because I don't think there's any room for complication. I think that's just, unless it's, something I can't understand, then I won't say anything about I won't say anything about it. But it's my intention to liberate, you know, every whoever hears the sound of my voice, for liberty to go forward, so that we can co-create with one another, that our intention can be clear about what we're doing, and we don't need to be confused. I lived in confusion for a long time, and it serves no purpose other than just chaos. So it's just part of my desire. I look for things that can be made simple. I kind of train myself to do that, so to speak. You have a kitty too, huh? Oh, he's probably wanting to come over here. Come here, Dorian. I'll see if I can get him up here. So he's kind of ornery. You know how cats are. They kind of do what they want. Sometimes I could just do this and he'll jump right in my lap. Sometimes he'll sit there and just ignore me. He's been talking to me. I don't know what he's saying. You want to go outside, buddy? Huh? You want to go outside? You want to come over here and get on camera? He goes, no. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'll be right back. I want to let him out. I want to show you. I want to show you out, bud. Okay? I want to show you the way. One of these days, you're going to learn how to do this yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. All right, buddy. Ready to go? On the marks. Get set. Run. There you go. Yeah, I wasn't giving him that much attention. He just got fed up with me. Okay, let me read some of these comments. Yuki, did I pronounce that right? Yuki? Sally? Yuki? That's a neat name. I like that name, Yuki. That's cool. Trinity Coaching Support. Do you have a video explaining the Medtronic Black Heart implants? Nope, I sure don't. I focus on the idea of regeneration and walking through the original nature of who we are prior to moving into this field, and that will immobilize any of that stuff. So, like I said, I try to keep it simple, but just to answer your question, not specifically, but there's other things that would be equally as effective. Oh, Japanese. What does it have? Is there a translation for that, or as far as meaning behind the name Yuki? Yeah, well, I don't really. Okay, just so you know, um, I'm an old guy, and I spent quite a bit of time when I was in Christianity within ministry dealing with dark forces. I don't spend any time with that stuff anymore at all, period. I understand the solution to the answers, and it's not chasing the boogeyman. Okay? There's too much emphasis on that because you have all the ability. Let me just say this. I'll make it very clear. I won't beat around the bush. Nothing can harm you. Nothing can harm you in your essence, who you are. I'm not talking about the body. I'm talking about who you really are. Nothing can harm that. Nothing. Unless you think that it can. So think on these things. Think on joy, thinking about gift, thinking about your ability to be able to bless other people. Think on good things. And I know that sounds cliche, but I've come full circle with all this. I've had confrontation with dark entities trying to kill me, the body. I do know what I'm talking about. As simple as it may sound and it's cliche, there's the reason why I don't focus on that. I focus on solution. So, I'm not really a chelotic science person, okay? My experiences were before any of that ever came on the scene, okay? Just saying, solutions. That's what I've been about, you know? I've gone through a lot over the last 5 years, and a lot of the stuff that I posted here on my YouTube channel has been when I was very sick. I was just working to until I dropped because I didn't know if I was going to live the next day. Seriously. So I focus on these days, especially on solutions, and the solutions are easily found within you. I know that's not necessarily what is popular, but I've never been popular. So, but I do know what I'm talking about. But there's things on here like the Zeta Seal thing that I did video. I would recommend going listening to that. You just got to look around. I got, I don't know how many videos I got, what, 300 and something. And I deleted half of what I had on here on this channel because I've been here for like 15 years. Yeah. I came here with the idea of developing a community 15 years ago. Didn't take that long when I was actually in a real life scenario. didn't take very long for things to develop. It just took forever for anything to happen here because it's not the same thing, you know. Yeah, well, it sounds interesting. The name is like Yuki. It's like an object or something, some kind of cute object. Tones are funny, right? In one language, it can mean one thing. In another language, it can mean something completely different. In fact, the antithesis in some cases, which is very interesting. Welcome to Earth. Welcome to Earth. Uh, yeah, well, yeah, they also take forever to take off, you know. What I realized if here online, especially online, there's a whole, most of it's entertainment, you know. People listen for entertaining purposes. So it's what's fashionable and what's exciting is the story. Is it a good story? You know, people like stories. I like stories. I've written a lot of stories. I love stories. I like to be able to do film. That was really what my goal was because it incorporates all the different type of art forms. You know, music, when a score, write, the whole thing, even act in it. If the character that I was thinking that I would be able to portray it properly, which I would. So actually, I'm a pretty good actor. If you listen to my little cartoon that I did all the voices, and I did that at breakneck speed. I have that ability to do that, and it's something that I always really wanted to do is go in that area. I loved animation and storytelling and just so I understand why people dig it. They want to hear stories, and that's what they're attracted to. You know, but I definitely am not interested in chasing the boogeyman. Neither am I interested in chasing extraterrestrials. I had contact, and I kind of cut it off. Randy's revealing himself. I cut it off because I really didn't want to have that. I wanted to do what I'm going to do here, and I want to kind of do my own. I got to a place where I wanted to do my own thing. There's another reason why I look to encourage people. Say, don't be so quick to want to leave here, even though it's really difficult and it's hard. In some cases, it's beyond description of some of the things. But it's a contrast. There's a great amount of beauty here, and there's a great amount of the other thing. But you decided to come here. You weren't forced to do it. And so there's something here for you that's unique for you to be able to expand further within your glory of who you are as an immortal spiritual being so that you can ultimately benefit all life. So, yeah. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you, Sally. Um, I did secular music for a period of time. It wasn't really a first choice, and it was after I came out on the other side of being bedridden the first time. And but it my when I started playing music, it was always spiritually based. In other words, I was in the church, and I really didn't have any interest in talking about the things in the world, which typically you hear with pop music and stuff. That wasn't my interest at all. Far from it. I I grew up, I'm 65 years old, so I was born in 1960. So the bands that I listened to, was interesting to me because there was other bands, but what was interesting to me, what I gravitated towards was progressive rock bands, which would take you on a story, take you on an epic adventure. I just love telling story through music in that way, and I grew up with that and was fortunate enough to be able to experience it on a real sound system, unlike what people listen to today. This was an analog system and tube amplifier, and You could feel the harmonics in the air, and it was everything was alive, and it was just such a amazing experience. And that was through my brother. You know, it was a bit later in my life. Well, how old was I? I think I was 13 when I first experienced that. But he had a quadraphonic system, a Pioneer system. It was unlike anything have heard ever since. Everything's a digital format now, and it's not the same. Not close. Not even close. When I first heard CDs, compact discs, I thought they sounded sterile compared to what I experienced. So I'm very fortunate to have had that experience. So when I would hear people like Preston Nichols, mention about using vacuum tubes, and because he was utilizing music therapy. He was a scientist. Okay, if you may be familiar with that name, he was involved with Montauk. If you have a chance to go listen to him, brilliant man. He's sort of like what I would refer to as a gentle giant. He was just, I would love to be able to speak with him because he's just such a great demeanor, in my opinion, you know. But he was talking about the idea of moving through, um, allowing for the primal life force currents to flow within and using vacuum tubes in order to communicate, use the music through that platform that allowed for it. The digital domain doesn't act the same way at all. It's different. I prefer the analog because of my experience with it. And like I said, I'm fortunate to have had experience that, so when I would hear someone like this gentleman talk about that, I know exactly what he's talking about. And I think that's really important to know those things. And, here online, um, and I've said this a few times, um, the primal life force currents function differently in a digital domain. They just do. I find it to be more residual. It's not complete. If I can give you an example, what I'm referring to in regard to digital and analog, analog is like walking into a forest and experiencing that moment, feeling what's there, breathing the air, touching the plants, leaning against the tree, just smelling. Just your senses are heightened. And digital is like going there with a camera and taking a picture of it. That's the digital domain. That's how it was. When I listened again to emphasize the difference between that with music, when I listened to a compact disc and everybody it was the big rage. Oh, it sounds so much cleaner and all blah 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 blah. And then I listened to it, it sounded sterile. Sterile. There was no life in it. The music was there, but it didn't have the life. It wasn't there anymore. So, yeah. I mean, those things are through experience as you're going through certain stages here, meaning within time periods, if you want to use that word, to now that doesn't really exist now. People are not aware of what I just said. They have no knowledge of what that is because they haven't had a chance to experience. And I'm sure there's a few that have, but they're you know in contrast to the multitude of people, it's next to none. Yeah, it does. I mean, it really does. I mean, one of the reasons why I feel like I'm a stranger in a strange land is because how things are now are not anything like what I experienced earlier in my life. It's so, in many cases, such the opposite. A stranger in a strange land is a lot of times I feel that. What are my methods for clearing implants? Walking in love. and it becomes easy. See, none of this stuff can hold that because it's not, when you walk in love, you're walking in the highest frequency. I mean, there's other things you can do and kind of like go through the motions and push buttons, but nothing really happens to you. And if it does happen to you, I wouldn't recommend letting things happen to you. I would be more encouraging to say you're a co creator. That's how everything works. So make sure that your intent is clear and walk in your true nature, which is a loving nature. And if it doesn't feel natural to you, practice it. That's one of the challenges of being here, bringing unconditional love authentically in the moment where it doesn't seem to be, period. Galactic High Priestess. Happy Tuesday, Randy. Well, happy Tuesday to you. Glad to see you here. In the UK, it is 6:41 a.m. She's an early riser. So glad to see you. So glad to hear from you. Thank you for being here. I don't know what time I got going here. I can go on for a little bit longer. That's for sure. I can go put like 11:30. Um, I have to get up for a dentist appointment tomorrow, but I don't fall asleep right away anyhow. So I was glad to have everybody here. Again, Trinity Coaching Support. I just wanted to say I I'm not in a good habit of looking at what people write when I'm talking. It's just kind of habit that I got into, and I'm not doing it purposely. It's just I'm trying to. I have to stop doing what I'm doing and start paying attention to what's going on over there within the chat. So I'll be a little bit on the delay in regard to responding, and hopefully before your question or statement or whatever is made, before it scrolls away. I'm not signed into YouTube right now. I don't normally sign into YouTube, so therefore the chat will just scroll through, and I have no way. There's no scroll bar attached to the chat box that I have here, so I can't go back to the earlier stuff. So, but I'm trying to I'm trying to pay attention. I just I've been doing this for so long. I just kind of forgot how to do that type of thing. It's nicer to have people all in the same room, or at least all in the like within the same platform that visually can see what's going on. So it makes it easier to be able to connect that way because I'm looking at everybody when I'm doing that. Here I'm just looking at the camera here, just so that it looks like I'm making eye contact with you. So I know that um, the Trinity Coaching Support. Yeah. Did If you want to ask more about those things, as far as because it's something that's natural to everybody. It's not something they need to learn. And this is what I emphasize. I can go through a lot of stuff, but why? You know, it's been my intention, especially over the last year, to just because I know that which resides within you and which resides within me. I know it very intimately, and knowing that nothing can harm you. And I know that our transcendence is not subject to anything here, only our bodies, only the body. And you're not the body. For the same reason, my shoes may be used by me, I am not a shoe. I'm thankful to have shoes. I like having shoes. Although I really prefer to walk around in bare feet. Truly, if I could dress like a beach bum every single day, I would. I'm very happy with that type of lifestyle. Very happy. Don't need much. So, um, Coaching support. I guess she dropped off, or he. I'm sorry. It takes when I see people in person, then I'll know their gender. Okay, because we get to know each other like through a platform like Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams, whatever, that type of thing. But just looking at names, just I don't want anybody getting offended. You know, um, I don't know who they are, so sometimes I will make a mistake and I'll feel like it's something I'm feeling, and I'll kind of go with a feeling, and sometimes the feeling is wrong. Um, so just saying, if I'm when it comes to me, if you ask a question of me and if it's very generalized, I'm going to give you a pretty generalized answer usually. But if you're asking for things very specific, I'll give you a specific answer to that. Um, so, like with what you asked, you says, what would I recommend in order to get rid of implants? Um, your authenticity, the love that flows through you when you're walking in that authenticity, it can't not, if, you may not get rid of it, but you can shut it down. It'll stop working. That I know for a fact. See, when my experience was moving along at a snail's pace because I went through a great deal and being bedridden, it's a long, long story. But I was dealing with certain implantation at a certain point in my life. I had no idea that's what it was called. There was no name for it. Today, there's all these names and people and their mother's brother's sister talking about it. I had to figure all this stuff out on my own, So my experiences have been through a process, not of learning not learning from anybody, but me working through it. And it wasn't fun, okay? I remember when I first experienced activation of that is when I was finding out through further inquiry about my initial intention for coming here. In other words, I was reintegrating my awareness of who and what I am, and all of a sudden the implants turned on. It said, no, you're not. No, you're not going to do that. And I was short circuiting, literally short circuiting. And I didn't understand what was going on. I had to figure it out. And I figured it out. And it took a long time for me to figure it out, you know? And it hasn't been, it's been decades of experiences and things that I can't really talk about because there's no words for it, that I have come within the last couple years where everything is kind of coming to a crescendo in my understanding. And I really, for certain things, most things for myself, is crystal clear now. There is no doubt, there's no theory, and there's none of that. It's just knowing. I try not to believe anything, okay? It's it's what I know. And what I know doesn't mean what I know is if I just share it with you or anybody else, that you're all of a sudden going to know it. So, I just, I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, and wherever it lands, it lands, you know. Um, I like the idea, I'm going to kind of switch gears here. I like the idea of having people in the same room because then energy can move differently like that. And that's been my experience, and that's my past. That's what I did before. Like doing music or playing, I become a conduit, and healing can take place. Transformation can take place. Transmutation take place. It's this platform here that makes things so difficult for me. I'm lonely to the way things were for me. I It's not so much I miss that. I just really want it, you know. But I don't mind doing these things at all. But I really want what I used to know. It was more valuable to me. It was more encouraging to me. It was more inspiring to me, and thus, therefore, I could be that much more to other people. And it was a given. It was energy exchange. Not to say that it can't happen here, but it's not the same thing. It's not, and it's not because I'm thinking that it's not. I know that it's not, but I appreciate it. I still do. I value the moment that I'm in. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, Galactic High Priestess. It was a process for me. It's like, I never, like I said, I didn't know what an implant was. This is before, way before any of this stuff. Internet and people talking and giving names to stuff. I had no idea. I had no idea why I was short circuiting. I had to stop doing what I was doing for 2 months at a time because this thing was felt like it was killing me. 2 months at a time, I had to step away because it was just my body. I'm not being figurative. Literally, my body was short circuiting. It affects your nervous system. And what's interesting about that is that I run across somebody else that I became friends with, and he was talking about that, and he was talking about it the same way that I was talking about it, that it short circuits your nervous system and everything. Why? Because it's an electromagnetic system, and it's within your biofield, and these things are not implants with under your skin. These are holographic. These are codes. And again, overriding the code is through love. I've had them melt. I mean, I remember certain situations where it's like, I was clean as a bell, man. Maybe a bell's not a proper word to use here. I'm just like grasping for words. But I was just clear and clean, shiny new plate. And it just felt that way too. And there was nothing there. So clear. Everything was clear. I've had that experience. A lot of experiences I've had, they've been alone. Most of them, especially the very lofty ones, the impressive ones. Yeah. The thing about ascension mechanics, it really just focuses on the manifest reality. That's 95% of it. And my interest was really the first being able to talk. The first vibration, thought, intention, creation, thought, intention. It's late. I'm starting to get tired. It's pretty obvious. Um, well, actually, I was tired when I came on here, so I'll try to answer or respond to this properly. Anyhow, which would be referred to as the Partakai, the code. The code. So my first interest was the encryption of that. My experience, though, that runs beyond all that is knowing my transcendence. And that's something that happened when I was bedridden back in 1993. So that would be 5 years before yeah, 5 years before Keylontic science ever showed up. I mean, I have no knowledge of Keylontic science until not too long ago, maybe 6 years ago. And I already experienced a lot of that stuff to begin with. I just didn't have names for it. I mean, I know things that I know because of my personal connection to them, not because it's somebody else's doctrine. And some things I agree with within KS, and some things I just don't. Some things in Keylontic science are borrowed from other things. And because, I've been here for a while, and I've gone through certain things and experienced certain things. And a lot of people that may be new coming along, they wouldn't know that some of this stuff is borrowed from other places. You know, my point would be is like know yourself because yourself is transcendent and that's what's eternal, not manifest reality. Manifest reality changes all the time. It's a construct. So, it's important while being in manifest reality to know these things, perhaps, or maybe not know them. One of the reasons for coming here is because you knew why you came here and you knew what this was, that you would be blank slated. You came here anyhow, you know? And we can have like missions for coming in here. And then I've said this before and it's true. All you have to do is look around and observe for like 10 minutes and you can figure it out. Some people just came here to experience here. Some people came here for chocolate cake. Live and let live. You know, love and do as you will. As I'm looking at this time in my life, I'm at the latter end of my life here. Okay, here. You know what I want to do? Not a mission. I don't want to I've stopped wanting to communicate with who was communicating with me before. I want to just play my music and go off and play. Whatever thing I have left, because it's my life story that's in my lyrics. And that's where my energy flows. That's where I'm happy. That's where I function the best is within my art. That's really what I want to do. So saying that, I would encourage everybody to fall in love with the things that what their first love is here. Don't take on somebody else's doctrine. Don't do somebody else's thing. Don't take on other people's philosophy. Do your own thing. Fall in love with you and the things that you love to do. And you know what I mean. If it is the true aspect of yourself, which is always good intention. Rediscover that. It'll take you a lot further. It really will. And don't compromise that. You don't need approval from anybody to do and be who you are. Because who you are and your authenticity can't be argued with. People don't understand it. That's really not your problem. We can be compassionate. In fact, when we're working through our true nature is where we're the most compassionate. We're the most understanding. And we're the most balanced to where we're able to deal with those situations if they arise in the most proper way. With serenity. Do your thing. Yes, vanilla. Vanilla slice. I missed something apparently. Well, thank you for being here, folks. It would be kind of pointless for me to be here if nobody else showed up. So thank you so much, Sally. Yes. Like I said, I want to be able to do this on Mondays just because um, the time zone situation. I got Wednesdays and Fridays, earlier here for me. Um, but I wanted to give one day, and I figured Monday was a good day just before I went to sleep. It'd be a good idea to come on here and see what comes of it. Yeah, self-awareness. It's just rediscovering yourself, and it's really done through your initial affections that you had. I mean, there's many ways to look at that. You can go back to if you can remember certain things of your earlier stages of this incarnation. People here call you a child. Okay, fine, whatever, that's fine. It's all role playing. But during that time, what was your affections at that time? I mean, the core aspect of your affections, dreams that you had, all these different things that pulled you into wanting to do those things or that one thing, whatever it may be. My encouragement is to stir those things back up again. And that's where for myself, this is where I'm going back to. And there's such liberation because a lot of this other stuff is just fallen off of me. And I just look at that, and as I'm speaking here, what I've done from the very beginning, now it's really kind of sticked with me a little bit better. I'm always speaking to myself first. If anybody else can receive advantage from some of the things that I say in that process, then that's great. But I'm really talking to me, you know? And It's starting to stick now. It's important to renew your mind to these things. It's the most simplest things that are the most profound. It's the things that you truly connect with, and everybody knows what that is if they give themselves time and seek that out within themselves. And once you find it, you go, that was easy. That was pretty hidden. But you'll find that it's quite simple. And just pursue that. It's important for you to be happy. And because you're going to be you're the best version of yourself when you're doing the things that you enjoy and love. Well, I wouldn't call it a weapon, but I know what you mean. Yes. Eating is a sensation. Eating's good, everything with moderation, really, but, each to their own. You don't want to leave here and say, you know what I really missed the most? I didn't get enough chocolate cake. You know what I mean? Jonas Emery, thank you so much. Good to see you. Good to have you here. Trinity Coaching Support says, I came here to experience chocolate cake. I tell you what, it's interesting. It's like I can't eat any of that at this point in my life. It's not possible for this body to do that. I just may do it at some point just before I expire. But I have it in I have the taste bud and all the memory, of decadent, thick, like buttercream chocolate icing on, a very decadent chocolate cake. I can taste it. I can feel the texture as I think about it. And that's kind of cool, right? If you have anybody have had the experience within dream state where you're eating stuff, I here lately I've been like having experience of eating goodies because I can't eat any goodies here. I can't eat goodies here in this part of the experience. But in my dream state, I could. But what's interesting is that I was looking at donuts, okay? This is during a dream state. And I'm looking at these decadent donuts, right? And had the buttercream, because I love buttercream, icing very thick on these donuts, right? And I'm looking, I pick them up and I go, oh, these are awesome donuts. And then I said, but I don't want them. And I put them back down. And I did that in dream state. You know how weird that is to do that? That's how my intention has grown, where I find a lot of times I used to be within dream state, I would just kind of go with and roll with things, which is nothing wrong about it. But it's interesting that I would make such a clear decision and a very concise, precise decision without any attachment. And I woke up and I go, oh, that's interesting. And so, I started analyzing that a little bit. So I don't want to analyze it too much. There was other things involved with that particular scenario, which I don't want to get into, but that's, you know, yeah, so it's easy to remember, especially in dream state. It was like easy to remember what things tasted like. I do still remember in this waking, so to speak, in this realm state, and I can go there. But while in dream state, all the senses are really heightened, and so it's like pretty enjoyable experience. As you start doing lucid dreaming and stuff like that, you can actually say, "Well, tonight I will lucid dream and I will be eating chocolate all night," or whatever you're going to be doing. It's kind of funny. Galactic High Priestess. It's all good. It's all good. Ah, yes, cheesecake. Yeah. Yeah. I've been on carnivore for about 2.5 years now because I had to because of my I had to be healed in my stomach, and I miss a lot of the stuff I was able to eat, but it almost destroyed me. I almost lost my intestinal tract because of it. It took a long time to get to where I'm at right now. Um, but cheesecake, I would like to be able to make it without sugar and all that stuff with any processed stuff, and that way I could, I could. It still would be carnivore, you know, for a treat, every once in a while type of thing. But yeah, I love a good cheesecake too. I mean, when I was younger, it's just like everything was goodies. I didn't have a good diet of anything, and it's a long story, but I ate a lot of junk when I was younger, and I actually would go off and collect pop bottles and stuff like that, and then I would go to the local market, mom and pop market, and I would buy candy, and that it really ruined my teeth, and it really messed up my intestinal tract too. So, but I had a sweet tooth. I mean, everybody does, I guess, at one point, right? Yeah. But I really love goodies. Oh, goodies like cream puffs, especially pastries and that type of thing. Just it was just so good. My favorite pie is like blackberry pie. Does anybody have blackberry pie before? Oh, so good. Um, Back east in West Virginia, or my mother's side of the family, um, we'd go off in the woods and pick fresh blackberries. Got to watch out for the copperheads, which is a snake, very poisonous snake. But we go there and pick, and we make fresh blackberry cobbler. Awesome, just so good, so good. Yeah. See, see, those are the things. Those are the things I want to really remember when I leave. It's like, again, I can always go back and relive it. It's like, oh, the blackberry pie and the chocolate and all these different things and happy moments and all the joy that was expressed in those experiences. And I had some really good times when I would go off and play in the field by myself with all the critters, the bugs and field mice and whatever it was. I was just so fascinated and in love with it. I'd just sit there and stare at stuff forever, just looking at it, being so amazed, and just it was so wondrous to me. Jonas, in dream state, two beautiful women came to me like your donut. I declared their uh, and declared their proposal, and they turned into a demon. And like your cookie, I do love women. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll refrain from saying any more. I dream of blackberry pie tonight. So good, so good. It's my favorite pie. And it's not really the easiest pie to eat because it has so much seeds in it. But man, that tartness, that tart sweetness, oh, so good, so good. And I like really good apple pie, but it has to be fresh apples and particular type. I like the apples that were like um, tart and but sweet. Have that balance of tartness and sweetness. Oh, there's a place right up here not too far from where I'm at, Ukaipa. It's called Oak Glen, and it just apple orchards, and those are the things I miss. Those things, not being able to eat certain fruit. My teeth is not very good either, and I can't really bite stuff. Like even right now, I'm like on a liquid diet because I can't. My mouth is messed up, but I miss those things. Galactic High Priestess laughing at Jonas' thing there. Yeah, that was funny. Yep. What do we got got going here? 11:10. Uh, so we're just having fun here, aren't we? That's good. I like for these lives to be whatever they want to be. You know, sometimes if I'm inspired, I'll look to plan something, but they usually don't necessarily go the way that I have planned. I'd rather do this where people are interacting. You know, it's a lot more funner for me too. That's for sure. But yeah, if anything serious comes up or whatever, and I have the ability to provide some kind of answer for it or whatever, interject something, then that's equally fine as well. So it's just kind of having this more as an open platform for whatever is a good idea. Well, thank you, Trinity Coach. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you so much. Apple pie. Yeah, apple pie is great. I mean, homemade apple pie, right? Yeah, homemade stuff. Or somebody that actually knows what they're doing. Somebody who's homemade pie. I can't eat any of that these days. I can't. Wish I could, but I can't. Um, you know, I love that stuff. I love fruit. I have my backyard because my backyard when I first came in here in this mobile home, it was just barren. You know, it was impacted, full of gravel and bricks, and the it was dead and fallow for a very long time. I think about 20 years, 25 years, something like that. Um, so it took a long time for me to get the ground where it would actually do anything, to grow anything. And I put a lot of effort, labor, and finance into it to try to get it going. Now I have trees back there, and I have a dwarf lemon. I got a dwarf grapefruit. None of these things I would eat, especially these days. But there is a nectarine tree that I have, a dwarf. And, when it's taken care of and fed and all that stuff, which I haven't been able to do for the longest time, but I'll be able to feed it this winter leading into spring, just because I like growing things and I like things to be, I like a lot of vegetation around me. And I got grapevines back there as well, and I got an apricot tree. All this stuff, none of that stuff existed. And I have this huge 30-foot pine tree, which is pretty much trying to kill everything that's there because the pine needles are acidic and it just kills everything underneath it. I had a blackberry bush that I was growing, and that got killed by the pine tree. But they only usually last about 8 years, and then they have to spread out. And but the conditions weren't, you know, good conditions for it to be able to do that because of the pine tree. I love pine trees, but they don't play well with others, and I need to be able to get a pole trimmer so that I can actually trim the branches and kind of keep it more manageable so these other trees and stuff can thrive, because it can take it'll just ruin the ground. It turns it all acid because of the needles. And if you ever went into an area where there's pine trees that's been there for a long time, usually what you see underneath them is just sand, because that's from the pine needles. It just wipes out everything. Only time you'll see anything is a combination of trees, like within a forest. If you have that, then it's more eco-friendly under those conditions, and it doesn't take over because other things come into the growing shared experience, so to speak. That's not the right term, but you know what I mean. That allows for other things to coexist because there's more than one species of tree and other type of life there that allows for things to flourish. But not in this situation here. um, I don't really regret planting that pine tree. It was like about a foot tall when I put it in the ground. It was like in a container for about 2 years, just in a container, and it wasn't growing because it was just, um, stunted the growth, being in this. I think it was like a one pot container for 2 years. And it grew a little bit, but not much. And then when I put it in over here, it's been there for 8, 9 years. I think about 8 years. Excuse me. And it's now 30 feet tall. And like I said, it's kind of wiping everything out from underneath it, and it's growing. I've cut it back quite a few times, but I can't reach it anymore. And I need like a pole saw thing, like a 16-foot thing, while I can still reach certain stuff. If I can get it to grow where it's more like this, instead of going out this way, it will be better for it as well as everything else that's around it. So that's something I'm hoping that I can get done. Galactic High Priestess, thank you for the super chat. See, I'm pretty slow. Sorry, gals, guys and gals. I'm a bit slow. Um, Nectarines tree. Nectarine. I like about nectarines is that they're one of my favorite. Was one of my favorite fruits. What's nice about nectarines, apricots, and what else? I, Nectarines, apricots. There's another fruit. I can't remember what it is. Sorry about that. But anyhow, those two fruits. A nectarine has 1 gram of carbohydrates per serving of fruit, which is amazing. Which means the lectins and oxalates in the fruit are it's less than what you would have in a lot of other stuff. Within green vegetables, you have major high doses of lectins and oxalates, which are poisons. Okay, this is information that's come out over the last few years, and it never worked for me. Any of that stuff, it just made me more sick. Eat more kale. It just made me more sick, more and more sick. So I'm much better than I have ever been at this point, and inflammation in my body's a lot lower and everything else. It's taken a long time for healing to begin within my intestinal tract. As I'd mentioned, I almost lost my intestinal tract. My belly button turned black because of the blood seeping through my intestines. Yeah, it was pretty miserable, to say the least. When I have very little, well, I do have filter when it comes to talking about my personal life, but I don't have much. I mean, I know where to draw the line, but I'm just, all things are known, so I just rather not try to be, you know, too overly protective about things. And it's really not for me for the most part. I don't say certain things because of other people. It's not that there's other people involved outside of myself in the story. It's those who may be listening. So, kind of pretty much what you see is what you get, but there's a lot of layers to me. There's a lot there. There's a lot of layers. I don't reveal everything because unless the moment requires it, then something else will come out. It's like, who's that? But I'd like to stay balanced and relaxed these days as much as possible and just have fun with everything that I can. Make fun of myself. Why not? There's a lot to make fun of. Am I an indigo? I'm an immortal spiritual being. I don't really focus too much on the starseed thing. I know a bit of my own legacy in regard to being within manifest reality, but I don't really give it too much mind. As far as things that I've been doing in this lifetime, I kind of fit the third stage indigo, which means carrying other beings within my field that are disembodied. Yeah. And that's been verified. But I don't like putting labels on stuff. Only reason for a label for me is to be able for things to be understood. And then once it's understood, you can get rid of the label. You know, if we're working through telepathy, we wouldn't have any labels. It's only within spoken language where you need them. You always move with grace, Randy. Well, you haven't seen me dance yet. No, Trinity Coach support. I that's the truth, really. It's who you are is who you are. You're transcendent, first of all, and you're not the body that you're in, and you're not necessarily. The thing about manifest reality is that we come into it and we experience ourselves differently from what we are. So it's an experience. It's meant to be enjoyed, just like going on a ride at an amusement park. If you have a chance, go ahead and take a listen to or watch of Amusement Universal Source Consciousness Field 18.0. It's a cartoon that I put together that depicts exactly that. So it's important to know yourself, and you can look at things with a more lighter mantle. I don't like carrying a heavy mantle. You know what I mean? Things that you put on yourself. It's like this is my this is my thing. Well, it may be my thing at the time, but I'm just playing a role. It's a role that I chose to play, but I'm transcendent and I'm way much more than any of this. It's just part of the experience, and it's a tool. It's a great tool. It's a wonderful tool coming into manifest reality. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool, and I love it, you know. But I know that I transcend all of it, so I don't really give too much to all these other things. I've experienced myself in two other parallel worlds. What does that mean? Doesn't really mean a whole lot to anybody else. I could tell a story in relation to some. Well, I can tell stories about all of them, but there's better ways to tell stories. We're multidimensional within the construct because the construct, that's names we give it. I rather look at it as a construct of vibration and oscillation because that's literally what it is, because that's what time is. There is no such thing as past, present, and future. It's different oscillating cycles of vibration. But that's within manifest reality. That's the construct. We are transcendent of the construct. So it's like calling yourself a soul. I'm a soul. No, what is a soul? Well, I can give my definition of what I know it to be, and so I can bring clarity to what I'm saying instead of it sounding like I'm saying something that I'm not. Soul is a subdivision of your energy of who you are within the aspect of the construct or manifest reality fields, and according to each vibrational oscillation uh, fixed aspect of it, soul is a station of identity of your subdivision of your energy. But that's within manifest reality, what people call multidimensional, whatever. It's just different vibration and oscillation. Okay, and I started talking about this in the last video that I did, and actually probably need to talk about it more, but obviously not tonight. Um, but that's the way we're perceiving it as we're in it. We're giving it all these different names and stuff like that. And yes, you could say we're multidimensional because we exist in all these different levels of vibration and oscillation. And I gave the example of that by using my keyboard because it's a harmonic construct and it makes it easier to, you know, understand what I'm saying when I explain it that way. It's my own particular muse. I came up with a particular understanding and by using the keyboard at one time, and so I've been sharing it here recently. Came up with it a long time ago, and I started creating techniques called the sound and light techniques that was based around that idea, which is quite effective and more effective than most things that I've experienced. It puts you in the driver's seat, and it's not like something's happening to you, you're making it happen. So, anyhow, yeah, but who and what we really are transcends all creations. We're a formless non-entity, all-knowing, all-powerful. We're a formless non-entity, formless. Within this manifest construct, there's form. Form is light. Light is the inversion of vibration. Outside of the construct, there is no form. So if anybody says, oh, I had form, then you're not in your complete reintegrated state, because your complete integrated state is transcendent of all creation fields, because you're a creator of those fields. And so you exist outside, also inside of it at the same time. But in your true transcendent state, there is no form, and you are not an entity. You are all-knowing, and all-powerful. Some people call that gods or God or source. Source, that's a funny word, the word source, isn't it? Because if you take a plug and you plug it into the wall and you get electricity, what's the source of that electricity? Where's it coming from? So you're looking at a point of origin from which a certain thing comes from, right? And in this case, we're talking about a collective. Everything is created through collective. And who you are in your subdivision of energy is collective. Go back to the multidimensionality in regard to this structure, vibration, oscillation, different, slower and faster oscillations. Within each aspect of that, you have a different aspect of yourself, multiple aspects of yourself, actually, because with one construct, you have an infinite aspect of the same thing. And again, I experienced myself in a couple different parallel fields, and wherever I am, it's always me. You don't change. You don't. Who you are is who you are. And I'm not talking about the personality. I'm not talking about yourself here in the body and how you look. I'm talking about what you are. Never changed, because it never began to begin with. It's always been. Time is a construct, right? The idea of multidimensionality, that's time. Because time is that vibration and oscillation. We've given names to it. We look at, oh, this is a slower vibration, but that's not how you look at it. You look at it as being, or longer, slower, not lower. I don't like the word lower. That has a negative connotation to it. It's a slower oscillation, like you have on a keyboard. You hit a low note, it's boom. The oscillation slower. As you move up an octave, it speeds up. It's faster, not higher, faster. Anyhow, I'm going on and on. I'm an Azurite only because I'm on a mission. Well, everybody has their thing, so that's cool. I am God first and foremost. Good. Glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Gives me good feelings in my tummy. I like hearing that. All being strange state to experience, but so lovingly peaceful in human terms. Yeah, music is universal. Well, this construct is harmonic. It's musical, straight up. It's a big composition. Yeah. Which means all of us are. So you know how important music is. It really is, and it's been used for other reasons. My crusade, if I have a crusade, is to bring who I am through it. Because, with other fields and other experiences, they use instruments to get out of their bodies and spiral up and party in the sky. you know, just those are the things that potentially we could do here. I mean, it's really available, just a lot of things are hidden, you know. So I'm a route to work now. Oh, okay, sending love, Randy. Oh, thank you for showing up. um, Galactic High Priestess. Okay. Thank you. You have a good day at work. Blessings to you, sister. All the best. Okay, speaking of which, it's like 11:30 and I've been fading for the last half hour. Although I think in a couple places I was still very coherent. I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but at least it felt that way. So, all right, everybody. Um, Blessings to you. Thank you so much for showing up. Uh, I love you guys. I really do. It's nice to be able to say that. It really is. So, guys and gals, okay? I don't want to be misunderstood here. All right. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Is there anything that anybody, I have some music. You want to hear some music? Me play some music? Go out with some music or something? I have Tomorrow Awaits, which is an instrumental that I did. And what else do I got here? I think that's it. Is that it? Oh, Embraceable Light. I played that last time. Um, Here. I think it's probably a new song. It's a performance. Like most of my music is a performance. I play all the way through. I don't copy and paste and do all that stuff. And there's no click track and everything is natural meter. I'm playing all the drums and percussion and everything in real time. So it's a 6-minute song. So I'm playing all the way through with everything. So it's very organic in that way. It's a good message. The video that I did for it, I put the lyrics up on the screen, but I don't have that here. It's just the song. But it has a picture of me and my instrument that I'm playing. It's called a war guitar, but it's not a guitar. And the reason why it's called war, like WARR, um, is that's the last name of the person who was making that particular instrument. So his name is Mark War. So that's where that comes from. So I'm not promoting war because of what's on the headstock. So anyhow, uh, in a formless NDE that this body lived a few years ago, the main teaching that remained back into this body is sensation, appreciating sensation. Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful experience being here. There's a whole lot to be said about it. And that's one of the reasons, and you putting a kind of cap on that by sharing that is one of the reasons why I say don't be because some people seem to be in a hurry to want to leave here and go back home.